Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
Hey, this is Tyler.
And this is KC.
And you're listening to
The Element Podcast.
What's happening, all my woods people? Today, KC and I are just ahead of a trip. We were leaving out in the morning to do some cool stuff, but we're going to talk about that later on. But it is a pretty decent summer day out there right now, and it kind of gets you in the mood when you wake up in the morning and it's like in the 70s you start thinking about some elk season.
Ooh, that's coming up soon.
It is, man.
Real soon.
I mean, I like to at least think that.
Yeah.
So
we actually had elk plans and then made new elk plans.
Dreams were crushed.
And then the dreams were crushed and those new elk plans got abolished. And then now we're making new elk plans again.
Call them Nelk plans.
Nelky. It's pretty Nelky out there.
Yeah. So I've been talking about it for months now. This is a motif with the Element Podcast.
Is it?
Yeah. What I do is I pretend like I'm going to draw a tag every year, and then I don't.
That's
what happens.
That's it. I don't know if that's a motif with the Element Podcast because it's been going on before the podcast. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to draw Iowa the year we
before we started. What in the world, dude? I talked about Iowa for 3 years before I drew it.
You did.
I was like, yeah, we're going to draw it next year, so we're going to go scout this year. Went up there and scout. Don't draw it. Next year, we're like, man, I think I'm going to draw it. We don't go scout. Doesn't matter. Still don't draw it.
Mm-mm.
Finally, I drew it. Yeah, I've had the tough luck in the draws, except for the one Texas draw last year.
Yeah, that's right, man. That was a good stroke of luck, and it went well for you.
It did, yeah. I'm super glad I did that.
So
I almost didn't do that hunt because of Iowa.
Yeah, that would have been a bad choice.
I know.
What was I going to say? Okay, so I don't have a clue. Way to go, KC, with your no edits. Well, I had something, and then you had a good point there, and I was like, what was that? It's okay. It's okay. Oh, yeah. I know what it was.
Okay.
So you put in for the draw in a state and didn't draw, even though you should have, according to the points, right?
We're talking about elk stuff? Okay,
this year.
Yeah.
And ends up that pretty much across the board, applications were up 40%.
Yeah,
across
that's what
the board.
One of our, I call him a friend sometimes, and then sometimes I think he hates me, but one of our friends told us at least. So he's pretty accurate with a lot of things he says. So I think I'll believe him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to think about it other than there was an increase in applications because there were people with a point less than me last year drawing that tag.
Not many, but some. And that should mean that you're pretty
like
much
20%, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, you would think that there wouldn't be enough point creep to make it go up 1.5 points, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that, it looks like we're going to be some OTC, over-the-counter I need to make sure and explain acronyms from time to time because sometimes you assume everyone knows that, and they don't. I've learned that lately talking to some new hunters. But we're going to be some OTC elk boys this year unless some landowner tags magically fall in our laps because we ain't paying for them. But if you want to get us one, you can.
Hey, reach out. TheElementWild.com. Send an email in the forum.
That's it.
Y'all let us know.
So we've been...
I thought OTC stood for only Tyler and KC could hunt this unit.
Casey.
Casey. Yeah.
Casey. Only Tyler and Casey.
Yeah.
Because then it would be a C. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So we've been scouring the Onyx maps for a place to go. I think we got a couple of options. We're going to do that thing.
We've got a place to go. You have been scouring the maps.
That's true. That's true.
I have not been map scouting.
It's all right. You've been doing the fun stuff. But on that note, guys, y'all, as I like to say.
You guys.
Yous guys. This week, actually last week, this week.
I can't think of it.
It was this week.
I don't know what week is what.
We started our elk hunting series.
Oh, yeah.
Brought to you by the Element Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So last year, many of you tuned in for the Backcountry series, which was really cool and kind of a new vein for us, and that was a lot of fun. Well, this year, we're going to be doing a little backcountry, a little front country, a little bit of all country. We're just kind of country around here. So we're not rebranding per se, but we're gonna change it up a little bit and just really concentrate on elk hunting.
Well, that's the thing is we did the backcountry series last year because we were going to do a backcountry hunt.
Yeah.
This year we need all the knowledge we can get with this OTC unit.
That's right,
unit
man.
stuff, especially me, man.
Yeah, I've hunted OTC quite a bit and done okay, but
so let's just talk about this because you're not going to. I'm going to talk about it. KC may not need that much help because we started talking about this earlier, or I started talking about this, but KC shot a bull in 16, and this is KC with a C. Shot a bull in 2016. In 17.
If we're going to go down this list, let's go back. So
yeah, keep going.
In
13,
I didn't get to go in 14, but in 13, I went and missed a bull at 11 yards of the recurve that I called in. So I just figured like we needed to throw that in there.
You know what? I had a piece of styrofoam in my yard one time.
Yeah.
That was way bigger than an elk front on, like a frontal elk, and I would miss it at 10 yards sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, isn't it?
I'm just not a good recurve shooter.
It's okay. You know what the cool thing about bows are? Is that they make bows that are better than recurves now.
Yeah.
I said it, guys. You heard me. You heard me. Yeah.
So you didn't go in 14. 15 you went. It was dry
15 was dry as a bone. We went there for not the opener and not the rut. It was a terrible time to be there, like the kind of first and second week of September. I was at full draw at 32 yards on a rag, and my dad said, "Don't shoot," because he thought I was going to shoot a calf.
Oh.
And there was an elk he didn't see. So I could have shot that bull.
Dadgummit.
Yeah.
And then in 16, you did kill. You killed a 6x6 on OTC.
I did.
In Utah. Or was it New Mexico? No, it was Nevada, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, you killed a 6x6 there. Good bull. I was so stoked, man. You and I that was the first hunting season that we were friends in.
Yeah.
And so.
I talked to you the day after I killed that bull. I was down in town getting ice and called you, and you're like, "Dadgummit, I knew you were going to kill."
I know. I had the feeling, man.
Yeah.
And then so that hyped me up to go in 17 with you, which was kind of a tough year for bulls, I feel like, if I'm listening to your stories correctly. But we did see a lot of cows. Yeah, like we didn't hear hardly any bugles. We had like one morning where we heard some bugles.
Yeah, and if you remember, that was the film called Spiked Out.
Yeah.
Because we saw spikes everywhere.
There was a lot of spikes.
The camp killed a bull that year.
It's true. Brennan killed a bull.
Yeah.
We did a podcast. I think it's 36, I believe.
That's a good one, man.
Dude, that is a good one. The campfire's cracking in the
There's a lot of
background.
in there.
There's more knows than you might want to know about. And so camp killed a bull. But you should have killed a bull in 17.
I mean, he was close.
He was running in. And at like 28 yards, KC draws, and I mean, bulls just don't see that stuff when they're running like that.
He caught me bad, yeah.
But he just locked him up and whipped around him, took off. See, like a 5? Was he a 5?
Yeah, 5 or I mean, he was like
He's pretty small, but
he wasn't a rag, but he was like that step up. I don't remember the points on it or not, but you saw him first. And you're like, "Bull!" I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was just sitting on the stump. It was kind of like a real lazy setup, you know. Like we didn't know he was there. But
we had done a big calling sequence.
you know what I learned from that? Well, what I learned from that is do a big calling sequence, sit for 10 minutes, and hit a couple light cow calls.
Yeah.
But the other thing I learned in that experience was like I was trying to slow draw him, and he caught me. Whereas if I just would have jerked it back, then it might have went differently.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, don't slow draw on an elk.
It's hard. I mean, you don't see a bull like charge in on you. He was running in.
I
dude.
know.
It was like almost like. I mean, you would think of it this way: it's like a couple of bulls fought like crazy and ended up like losing sight of a cow or two and went off, and this is what he would be thinking maybe, and that all of a sudden there's this lonely cow still standing there in that area, chirps, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to run in and steal this. This is easy money. I mean, he was flying in. And so anyway, that bull locked up at like 28 yards, took off running. We had a chance to we had some pretty good chances with cows that trip.
Dude, later that morning, we almost shot another bull.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember those ones we found?
Yeah, not far from there.
Yeah,
at
not
all.
far at all. And I kind of played that dumb too. I wanted to call at them when I probably could have just snuck in and maybe got a shot. I don't know, but
They were pretty lovesick, man.
yeah.
Yeah, and then so in 18, I didn't go. I'll be honest, and this is me being transparent. I do not like sitting in the mountains, feeling like I don't know anything that's going on, and it's just hot and there's nothing bugling. So, not that I didn't have fun on that trip, but there were moments when I was like, man, what are we doing? We went all day, didn't hear a bugle, didn't see an elk, nothing. Like, we walked like 10 miles. And
There was
like,
one time I can remember we were in like that Aspen blowdown area. It was like, and we took a big nap out there. That I could tell that day you were like, oh, this is freaking lame.
Yeah.
I remember.
So I didn't go in 18, and then you had like a pretty epic year with bull sightings and encounters.
I shot 3 arrows.
You came back having to buy more arrows, I think.
I did. That's how we ended up with Brian. I had to buy more arrows from day 6, man. Yeah, actually, that's a good point, man. I was shooting East Nexus that year, and I wasn't happy with how they were working.
Yep.
And, I broke 3 arrows on that trip, and I was finding something different and found Brian and haven't broke a day 6 since. You broke 1 when a deer rolled over on top of it, which is to be...
Did I?
Yeah.
Which deer did that?
I thought it was one of those Texas deer.
It might have been.
Maybe you didn't.
Remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Either way, went to a more
No,
durable.
they were both pass-throughs.
Okay, maybe not.
I broke fletchings on every...
Oh, that's what it was.
Because those things... Yeah.
That's the thing that happens.
I mean, when you zip them through a Texas deer,
yeah,
it's gonna
happen.
It's gonna knock a fletching off, maybe.
That's right.
But that's
ain't
all
nothing
right.
but bones, you know. So
right.
they're definitely hitting something soft. But
Yeah.
anyways,
But my arrow's still intact, and that's what matters.
perfect.
Right?
Just need to refletch them suckers before season gets here.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah. Anyways, had to find some better arrows. Did that. But got 3 shots that year. Called in 1, 2, 3 bulls. Missed one, hit one high in the shoulder at like 20 yards. I guessed the range and guessed wrong, which I figured out that guessing on elk is not a good thing because you ain't used to looking at elk, man. If you're a whitetail hunter, just letting you know, you're not used to looking at one.
Yep.
That was a giant bull, the biggest bull I've ever seen body-wise. He was only a 5-point. I think he would have scored like, maybe Pope and Young, like the 270 range, but big body for a Colorado bull. And then ended up shooting that kind of non-typical racked bull on the second to last evening that ran in like that on us, like kind of like that one, except he stuck around. We're trying to get my mom a shot at him, and she couldn't get it done, so I zipped one in there at 50 yards, and dude, this is the best shot I've ever made. Talking about I guessed on him.
Yeah.
Oh, ripped. Like, imagine 5/8 down the body. Okay, I know like 2/3 is kind of where people like to be, but 5/8 is not a bad spot either.
Not on
a
the
lot
elk
of stuff
especially.
going on, not on the elk. And I barely clipped the back of both shoulder blades and just right through him. He made it like 60 yards, and it was like just the crimson carpet between here and there. It was nice.
Yep. And both that and the spiked out video from 17 are on our channel and have done well. Apparently, a lot of people like the elk stuff, but that was from 18, and I didn't go. I wish I did, because I mean, I'm like, there's a chance that I got to shoot sometime in there.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? So, but not just for that.
If we can talk him into buying a tag, which I think he's going to this year, so that's good.
Cute. So then in 19, we went to the Gila and had lots more encounters.
Man, what an experience! If you follow us and don't know what we're talking about there, then I don't know. You just haven't been paying attention. But go check out that whole series on YouTube. It was pretty epic. Yeah,
especially the first day and the last day.
If you like to cry, I would say that it's good for that.
So we just posted one of the most crying parts recently on YouTube, because
I call it my cry parts.
The video of the first afternoon we hunted, we get an encounter with a huge bull at 25 yards, just rips right in our face, and it's like 40-minute long video. And so I'm like, man, there's probably a lot of people that didn't make it that far. So we wanted to just put out the bugle and let you hear it and get hyped up. So we're going to release a few videos like that, just like epic moments from last season. You know what I mean?
Is better than being hype about hunting, dude?
Nothing.
Except actually hunting. That's it.
Being hype while hunting.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah.
So
play them now and then play them when you're actually hunting. It's it's a good thing to do.
Yep. So we're going to post a couple of little highlights from the season as we go. So if you follow the YouTube channel and you're confused, you're like, well, I've already seen this. What's this little 3-minute clip? It's just us trying to get hyped for the season pretty much, and revisiting footage. I'll be honest, I watch the season videos like, I probably watch 6 to 7 season videos a month. And like just random ones. I'll just be like, remember that one thing that happened, and I'll go back and watch that video,
Yeah, I'm probably going to do that around August or something like that.
I'm trying not to burn out on it, because I want to do the same thing. I want to go back in like August and really like start over again and watch the season. Just be like, man, here are the things that I learned last year because of these instances that I need to put into play the next month or two.
We might need to do a watch party.
We should.
Have you ever seen that? I follow this guy
on Facebook or whatever?
Star Wars Theory, who has a few more followers than us.
Just a few.
Like a couple million more than us. But like he does these watch parties. Everybody, him and all the fans watch all at the same time. And then like for the next amount of time after it's over, they all talk about what just happened.
It's cool.
We might have to do something like that.
That'd be fun, man.
Yeah.
I know when like towards the end of the season, I think we were doing the premieres that are scheduled. And so like it's kind of the same thing. Like you can watch them and communicate on this like storyboard that kind of disappears, I guess, after or whatever.
Isn't that cool?
But yeah, so it's fun to like, as things are happening, to be able to talk to each other and stuff, and get hype and everything else. So
yeah,
but yeah, so with that said, basically from 15 to 19, you've had shots at elk pretty much, except 17. You didn't technically get a shot, but you got the full draw
and
pretty
15,
much.
I didn't get a shot. And actually, I was on full draw for sure on those cows.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? That cow was at like 35 yards, and she was in one of those little quakey
Very
thickets.
quaky.
Yeah. Like aspens. If you never hunted elk, do it. But there'll be these places. It's like 3 acres of aspens that are big around as your wrist or so, and their stem count is like 1 every 6 inches. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. We were in bow range from elk and like couldn't see them.
Yeah, Tyler's like trying to tell me where she was at.
When I say bow range, I'm talking like 30 yards.
Yeah,
bow range. Like
it's weird
before we saw them.
Yeah,
crazy. But
I mean,
so you've had good luck, man. And I think that to me that proves that you're a good hunter. I know you are humble about it, but you're a good elk hunter. For me personally, I'm not. I don't have the same. And I've talked about this before. I don't have the same optimism sometimes. I don't have the same patience with elk because I don't know as much. And so I struggle with it. But I think we're going to give it a try this year.
If you want to know, you got to go.
That's right.
I'm going to put that on a T-shirt.
You should.
Uh-huh.
Just do it. You should put that on.
Oh, man. What a good one.
But anyway, so, yeah, we're going to probably both try to be doing the OTC thing this year. We've got some ideas. and we're going to probably give it a go.
Yeah.
Our September is kind of still up in the air right now overall, but we think that we have a pretty good plan going. So.
Yeah, for sure. And the good thing is we don't have to book flights or anything. So, the whole month you can kind of, you don't have to decide what the dates are until we're getting kind of close.
Yeah.
But, so all that to say that we've revamped the summer elk series from the just backcountry specific to just general elk this year. And we're making a really hard effort to not just have the same old guys talking about how to call elk all the time on the podcast. Because, man, honestly, if you're coming out and hunting elk for the first time, you might be able to call in some elk. Our buddy Sam Hogan did his first time. Mm-hmm. It's a thing that can be done, for sure. But there's so many other tactics that are super effective.
Yep.
And, in fact, the episode that's coming up next week is with a guy who hardly ever calls. Mm-hmm. But we just launched an episode this week with Dirk Durham, the bugler. We kicked it off with bugle, with straight calling. And Dirk is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a Dirk the quirky guy.
Dirk the quirk.
Yeah.
What's funny is when I said Dirk to my wife earlier about Dirk Durham, she automatically thought Nowitzki.
Oh, see, that never comes to mind.
Well,
I was not a basketball fan.
Oh, she's
hardly.
A huge Dirk fan, you know.
Bet.
I mean, Dirk's our guy, you know.
Yeah.
He's a Dallas guy.
Yeah, man.
German Dallas guy. So
the girls liked Dirk. I never really quite figured that out.
I think she just appreciated him because she played basketball at a pretty high level, and Dirk played at the highest level, you know. So just being a big, tall, agile kind of guy.
Yeah, it's true.
He's a pretty impressive dude.
It is, man. He's an impressive guy.
Impossible to block.
That's right.
When you're 7'1" shooting a fadeaway, it's pretty hard to.
You know what else is impossible is for elk to resist Dirk Durham. So, and one of the things we've learned from Dirk is how he can just make elk do what he wants them to. And he's real humble to the extent of denying that he can do that, but he can.
Yeah.
You watch some of the stuff with Born and Raised and stuff like Trent Fisher we had on last year. Him and Dirk hunt together a good bit. And, dude, Dirk's like, here, I'm going to do it on the left side of my mouth this time. And then, the elk comes to the left. It's like he's steering them, you know?
You know what's interesting is, so Dirk ended up, and I don't know how much we really talked about it last in the episode. I think we hit on it, but he had hurt his shoulder and was shooting a mouth tab, I believe. And you got to shoot a pretty sharp broadhead when you're when you're one armed, right?
Yeah.
And I think I don't know this for sure, but I think he was shooting day 6.
I do know this for sure.
Do you?
Yeah, that is what happened. Yeah, right in the last minute, this whole thing happened, and Dirk hit up Brian and was like, "Hey, I need some stuff." So Brian was legit on the way to go elk hunting himself, and then stopped and made Dirk some arrows and stuff. So that's cool. pretty cool deal. But yeah, he killed a mouth tab bull with day 6 arrows. So
there you go.
Pretty good.
Big, heavy, sharp arrow, man. It'll put it in there.
It'll cut your fingers too.
It will. It cut me twice in one day, man. A 24-hour period.
Yeah.
I got cut twice, man.
But that's a fun podcast, man, and y'all look forward to that. I think we're probably going to have 10 episodes or so. I don't know for sure. We don't really have any commitments or anything, so just however many we can get to try to get some good information out of some dudes. And like we said, we'll have the gamut of interviews on there. It'll be people that you've heard of many times and some people you've never heard of, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be all about how to find elk and how to get them on the ground. That's what the elk hunting series. Last year with the backcountry series, we changed the nomenclature to B's. So B1 would be the first episode. Well, you can't do elk 1 because we already do E1 for our episode, so it's EHS 1. Kind of like a VHS, but EHS. if you know, you know. All right, what a VHS is. If you don't,
mossy horns.
That's right. Anyway, so look for the EHS 1 that's out there. Released on Tuesday. I don't remember the date. Whatever.
Not to be confused with the EHD 1.
That's right. We ain't gonna do none of those. None of those. None of those. But so that's a cool thing we're doing. And I actually got that episode out while Tyler and I wasn't here. Can y'all believe we pre-record these? Tyler was somewhere else. What have you been doing, man? Don't act tired.
No, I had a joke, but I can't say it, man. I was in New Mexico.
Were you?
Yep.
Were you scouting Gila bulls?
Yes.
Good.
I was eating New Mexican food. I had a green chili burger.
How's it good?
It was good, man.
How was it? The 9th best on the Food Network or the 8th best?
We did watch some Food Network stuff,
Did
know?
you?
Yeah, okay, so...
Oh, y'all hoteled some.
We did. The plan was, I may have talked about this before I left, or I'm not sure how much, but we were planning on going into Mexico. We didn't have nearly as much time the last 2 years because my wife has stepped into a bigger role as a coach and other things. So we had like about a 9 or 10 day window to be gone. So we were just going to go to New Mexico and kind of try to, base from there, not move around too much. Where in the past, when on our trips, we've moved like every day, like several hours just about. And so we went and we stayed in Amarillo the first night. I beat myself up before I left, man. Just all the different things that I had going on, closing on 2 properties, one of which needed a lot of TLC and work done to it, chickens and plants,
Chickens.
all these different things going on. And then, just like trying to get the ELK series going and that kind of thing, all these different things. I could go on and on, but they all kind of accumulated to the last like 2 weeks or week leading up to us leaving. And so I was just so worn out. And so we decided to just stay in Amarillo and get up the next morning and get a decent night's sleep and get up the next morning and head to kind of the Red River area. We're going to fish the Cimarron. Actually, that was the plan. We kind of fly by the seat of our pants on this usually. But
I can't believe it.
Yeah. We went to the Cimarron and fished a little bit. And I was kind of wanting to stay in that area, but because all the campgrounds are closed, especially in New Mexico, because there's some crazies over there. There's like you can do dispersal camping or whatever they call it.
Dispersed camping.
Dispersed camping on National Forest ground. But if you've ever been to the Cimarron or by it, it's in a canyon pretty much, and all the National Forest, all the ground that you can stay in, it's real shady because it's mostly state land, and the state park's closed, and so like there was a place we found that there was no signs that said no camping, and we could get. You're still like your vehicle's right on the road, and then you're like on the other side of that, So we just decided what we do is we fish Cimarron, and I decided, what we'll do is make a round into New Mexico, fish some of these northern New Mexico rivers a little bit, but we'll stay in Red River tonight because it's not far from Cimarron. So we stayed in Red River, which is pretty high up there. It's a pretty high town. The town's over 8,000 feet, I think, and we stayed above that in the National Forest, and there was a group there that was ridiculous, like a couple hundred yards away, and there's a bunch of people staying. Oh my goodness, dude! It was just, and they had little kids running everywhere. So these were not like 18-year-olds. These were like 20 and 30 and 35-year-olds that were just the worst music, and blaring through the canyon. Like all these people up above us even were just trying to have some peace.
Question: being an artist, I usually think that you being an artist, I usually think that like your music taste is something you put a lot of value and time into. When you say the worst music,
not artistically, not necessarily artistically. I mean lyrically. Like
bad words.
Yeah,
music.
Yeah. Like I'm talking little kids running around and just straight up, every song is if you know the origins of R&B, then it was based around that type of stuff. But I mean, in just
words you don't want your kids
form,
to learn.
Dirty form,
yeah.
Man. It's just I don't know. Like I hate to sound like an old man, but
you are one. So.
No, I am. I'm getting that way a little bit, I guess. But
no,
more than anything, like that, when you have kids, man, it's just like if I just think about myself, if I was in that group or whatever, and some nephew that's 18 wants to start playing that music, I'm like, go turn that bull off right now.
Or you can
I'm
just
slap
be
you
like,
upside the head.
Hey, we're in the Cimarron Canyon in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Can we just enjoy the pristine
Dude, it was so
area?
beautiful. But then, so I guess I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but
It's all right. That's what podcasts are for.
We ended up, I was like, whatever. sometimes it's nice not to be in the middle of the wilderness with your kids and your wife, because then you kind of feel like, well, crap, if something happens, I am ultimately responsible. And it's nice to have some people kind of close by. So I was like, oh, whatever. And I was tired enough that I'm like, it's not going to keep me up. It's not that loud, it's I can hear the words, but it's not like, it's not blaring to me. And so I went to sleep. The next morning, the bird ragiest sounds I've ever heard in my life started happening as soon as it got light, dude. It was like 4:50. I don't know what time it was, but it had to have been before 5 o'clock. And they just started going nuts, man. And it was pretty cool, but it was kind of early. And I had already woken up because I was freezing in my sleeping bag. And
in your good sleeping bag?
Yeah, dude. It was like 36. Which my sleeping bag's rated to like 20, but like that's just survival temps. Apparently, we figured out. And then Jet's sleeping bag's not rated to that. He was in Kaylee's sleeping bag before we went to sleep. All three of them, and Jet is now over 100 pounds. So,
oh man,
they were all three in the same queen size sleeping bag. Anyway,
wait, is it a big one?
It's a big one. It's the green and gray one that you used in deer camp last year once or twice.
Yeah, it is a big one.
Yeah, it's a nice one. And they stayed warm for the most part, but they didn't sleep well because they all kick each other. But anyway, so like I get up, and dude, I bet it wasn't 6:30. They had music on again, 6:30 a.m. And it got louder and louder till about 8:30 when they finally left. And we left, not long after that. But it was just ridiculous, man. So anyway, we came down and kind of made a plan, and I'll make this story a lot quicker. We ended up going into Taos, and that was our base camp for the next 3 days or so. We were so cold that night. I got up at like 6 or whatever and cranked the heater in the truck, and I just sat there and like closed my eyes and kicked back for about an hour. I was like, I know that, Tyler. Dude.
I've seen him before.
Frozen. So I ended up, we went to Taos and got a hotel, and we decided pretty much what was going to happen the rest of the trip was that we weren't going to camp again because I was so tired from before the trip, all the things that went on in May and early June, that I did not want my vacation to be a sufferfest where I lost sleep the whole time. So I was like, I'm going to get a hotel and I'm going to sleep decent, and that's what we did. Cool. We paid for it, but at the same time, we came back a couple days early because we were paying for it, so instead of camping. But we went to Taos, fished a lot of the rivers around there, I got the best pictures of Rocky Mountain bighorns that I've ever gotten at the Rio Grande Gorge there west of Taos. We fished. We got rained on real hard one time. I fished several different rivers.
Catch anything epic?
I did some. I mean, nothing like epic, but I'll say this. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but because we've been responsible, I think, for a lot of people taking up fly fishing. Mm-hmm. I think we talked about this recently.
That's true.
But, or at least in part. And so I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. If you're ever in New Mexico, in the Taos area, Rio Pueblo is awesome. And I fished it one afternoon. We caught
You know what that means
several
in Spanish?
fish. The house.
The river of Pueblo.
The river of Pueblo.
I don't know what Pueblo means.
The river clay house, adobe house. No, so that river, all the rivers in New Mexico are a little bit different than Colorado. A lot of them, they're not as big, So a river would be a creek in Colorado in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. So it's not very big, not very deep, even in early to mid-June. But, man, we caught several fish. Jet caught his first trout. Like actually his own fly rod, and he was loop casting, circle casting, whatever they call them. And he actually caught his first fish on the Cimarron right off the bat. Caught a brown.
Nice.
And then we caught mostly browns the whole trip.
Did you eat any fish?
We didn't. Never do, man. Dadgummit.
I know it.
You always bring everything, and then you're like,
it's hard to make happen.
If I went out with the intention of just catching fish to eat, I could do it. Mm-hmm. I feel like we always go out like either trying to catch like the wildest cutthroat, or we've got like family with us, or we have limited time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, don't get to do what I want to do. I mean, Jet fished more than I did, and that's kind of what that's kind of the role I'm having to get into on a family vacation right
Dad.
now. So, and that's fine. I enjoyed watching him catch fish, but there's also some frustration that comes in when you're fishing a river that's current's moving pretty good and your son's got your fly rod.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, just put it right there.
I've done the same thing with the wife for the past few years, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Not fights, but like the highest level of frustration I've had is usually involving teaching my wife to fly fish.
Well, I mean, even when you're just fly fishing, the frustration level can get real high a lot of times.
It can, for sure.
So you just add in the fact that somebody else is not doing it like you should be doing it,
Mm-hmm.
But
it's just like, if you can hit that pie plate size spot right there 15 feet from you, you will catch a fish.
Yes.
Can you please do it?
Please. Do you see where I'm pointing? The river. No, the river, not the tree. No, but like that's the truth. Because I mean, there were several times we'd get to like a corner pool or something, and I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, this is the best thing we've seen in 100 yards," And like Jet's fishing, I'd be like, you still want to fish? You want to play? Do you want to play those rocks over there?
Yeah.
So then he would like
that's so funny.
He would whip it in there and try to hit it over and over again, and he caught a few fish. He probably caught 4 or 5 fish the whole time.
Yeah.
And he didn't fish the whole time.
That's cool.
But like what would happen a lot of times is there'd be like a run, and then he would get kind of frustrated, probably because I was getting kind of frustrated, and then he would just be like, I'd be like, I would ask him again, are you still wanting to fish? Because he'd kind of get tangled up or something. And he'd be like, no, not really. I just want to go. And he'd have these games in the river he'd play, But like when he would quit and I would hit the top of that run or something, I would catch a fish a lot. Like, it's just like, if you would just put it right there, you would catch the fish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I was trying to teach him to read water and stuff, and telling him where to put it and stuff. But until you've thrown thousands and thousands of casts at a stream and caught fish, you really can't quite understand it, usually. I mean,
it's a hard thing to understand. You're telling me that this kind of like spaghetti type line is going to make this monofilament line with this thing that has no weight hit a certain spot.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That's the thing is like people want to cast, and it's more about shooting the line, and shooting it above the water to where it lands softly, and there's a lot to it, but at the same time, like I read the I think it's called the Orvis Fly Fishing Guide, a book by Tom Rosenbauer.
Most likely.
One of our favorite guys that we love talking about. He, it's just it shows all like the basic stuff, like the mayfly life cycle and things like that, and then how to read water and this and that. But really, after that, man, it just came down to me going up to Broken Bow as many times as I could in a year. And
it's a good place to get some casts in.
And not know if you're doing it right or wrong.
And not catch any fishes.
That's right. So, but I mean, I just cut my teeth on that stream and learned. And that's how you, just like anything, it's like deer hunting, elk hunting, whatever, you got to go learn. But anyway, ended up going up to Colorado one day, bought a 1-day license, and fished a river called the Conejos River, which I've wanted to for a long time.
It means rabbit.
A rabbit, that's right. How'd you know that? Did you look it up?
I actually do know Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was just joking.
So I know you know quite a bit of Spanish, but the Conejos River is in Colorado, and I've wanted to fish it for a long time.
Okay. Didn't the Conejos, they like make it go dry for a while?
I think you might be right, but that's been several decades, I think.
Oh, I thought it was like 2 years ago.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
That's cool. But I mean, there's fish there?
Yeah. So I've seen, I think it was on a guide page or something for that area. I've seen a big Rio Grande cutthroat picture, and I'm like, oh, I got to go there. So anyway, long story short, it's a long ways in there. The dirt road to the last parking lot along the Conejos is an hour and a half of driving.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a long way. So, and then it goes from there. It's still a pretty good sized river, and it goes into just, wilderness essentially.
Cool.
And it's like up there is where you're going to catch more of the Rio Grande cutthroats. So I don't know if I got into Rio Grande cutthroat country really, and I will one day. I will go back there, but ended up fishing pretty much right at the end, kind of same deal. Like we found this just a big boulder in the middle that like, because the boulder had fallen down to the middle and the current just had to split it, it like dug out a huge hole around the whole boulder, And so, same thing. Jet was not really quite doing it right, and those fish the water was clear. It was like was like the tail end of runoff where the water's running fast, but it's really clear still, and it's kind of high. And he didn't catch any fish, and I literally, like, he finally got kind of bored and was like wanting to go play. And I mean, I was like, went back and fished in between two spots that he had just fished that was 15 yards apart, and first cast stuck a 16-inch rainbow, which if you never caught a true 16-incher, that's a big fish, dude.
Yeah. Well, interesting thing about a 16-incher is it can be like a kind of slinky, like
Hatchery
long fish,
looking,
or it can be a tank.
Yeah.
And it probably was a tank.
This thing was spotted up, dude. It was awesome. It was okay. So this was the coolest part of the whole fishing trip, really. So I'm throwing a dry dropper, and I'm throwing it right down the left edge of the run, basically, because that's where you can see the current seam. You know what I mean? And so it's
what's
cooking.
a dry dropper, Tyler?
A dry dropper. Good thought here. The dry dropper would be a dry fly with like a bead head, little nymph-looking fly underneath, so like a jig for guys who don't fly fish.
And you take like a 12-inch piece of monofilament and hang it off the back of the hook of the dry and put the nymph on the bottom.
And I usually am more in that 16 to 18-inch range, just because I don't like to fish with a bobber, and so I try to get down there pretty deep with that or whatever.
It depends on your stream depth and all that kind of stuff. I fished 3-foot dry droppers plenty of times, but it's kind of a not fun thing to cast sometimes.
It's not. And then another thing, like if fish are coming up and refusing your dry, but they're coming up to look at it, then a short dropper works a lot.
A good way to get them to the back.
Yeah. They'll come up, they'll see your thing, they'll come up, and when they raise them in the water column, they'll get you a little.
If you're not a purist, sometimes you just kind of halfway hang them with that dropper.
Done it a lot.
Plenty of times.
I actually am editing a video, which is towards the end of my vacation last year. I've been posting some of those videos, and like I caught West Slope cutthroats for the first time, and I think the second and third ones I caught both were just like caught in the tail fin pretty much, you know. But so I was casting it right down the left edge of the seam right there, and it's drifting, and all of a sudden I can see just this thing kind of come up, you know. And I had a big old golden stone dropper on the bottom. And this rainbow, and I didn't know it was a rainbow at first. I just could barely see this little squiggly thing coming up. It's one of them deals where, like, you know, and if you hadn't seen trout do it, you wouldn't know it was a trout because you could barely see it. And he comes up, and I can see him bite it, you know. So I have the anticipation and everything. Dropper goes down, set the hook. I'm talking as soon as I set the hook, this fish jumped. I'm not lying you, 6 feet in the air, dude. It was like the craziest thing. Like you would think a fish would come up, eat, and turn back down. And it was almost like he came up and ate, and as soon as it's like he almost knew that it wasn't real. And so he was like anticipating that it might not be. And when I set the hook, dude, it was like just like that, took off and shot so high out of the water that he almost landed on the bank. He landed in 4 inches of water and couldn't fight. And I just basically stripped him all the way in real quick and put him on my net, you know?
Cool.
Like it was awesome, dude. But anyway, then I caught another brown that was 16 inches, like the next hole up, you know. And then from there, lots of willows.
They have
real
blue
hard to
patches
fish
on their cheeks?
Yeah, this was a real pretty brown. And the Cimarron, you know, for instance, like not most of them aren't 16 inches, but they're pretty much wild browns. Yeah. It's a wild brown fishery. They say like 4,000 browns per square or per mile in that river. Yeah, it's.
Doesn't it take 1,000 fish per? What's the gold medal standard? Do you remember?
I don't remember that. It's a lot though.
Which Colorado kind of has its own kind of standards or whatever. But you're talking about Cimarron in New Mexico, right?
Yeah. And it's awesome. Like, if you haven't been, which I guess you haven't, but it's awesome, dude. You need to go. But anyway, so like caught those 2 fish, and then we kind of worked our way back down, and I didn't do a whole lot of fishing after that, really. And it was kind of one of them deals where like every time we'd get back out, Jet wanted to fish again, and just being honest, it kind of cramped my style. I wasn't able to like change the baits like I needed to and stuff, you know. And I'm not going to put a 5-foot dropper or whatever on his, you know, because he's just going to get tangled like crazy. So, and you know, so anyway, that's kind of what happened up to towards the end of the trip. We ate, like I said, some green chili burgers and stayed in the hotel and watched a lot of TV and relaxed. And actually came back still kind of tired, but I think only
Most
reason
good vacations are that way.
Yeah. So anyway, it was fun. I'm trying to think. I guess what we ended up doing was we came back and fished the Cimarron on the way out. Fished the Red River as we went through there. I was like, we'll stop since we saw one spot on the way through that looked pretty good. And I almost caught a fish in it. But the Red River has been one of my least favorite places that I've ever fished. I've fished it a few times.
It's real big in there, huh?
No.
Oh, really?
Well, down towards the Rio Grande it is, but it's a different area. Like the stuff around Red River, New Mexico, is it's high and got a lot of grade to it, but it's also real shallow. There's not pocket water there really. It's just, there's very few
Big
pockets.
riffles.
It's just like 6 inches deep in a lot of places, and it's just moving fast, you know. And I've never caught
Streamer
any fish
country,
here.
man.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But man, it just like there's not a whole lot of holding water for fish even. So I've just never caught a bunch of fish there. Had a few little looks or whatever. But another thing is that section gets hit really hard by bait fishermen and stuff. I mean, there's power bait at every deep hole.
Oh, those guys.
It's just,
No,
for
I
me,
know.
like coming in behind them, it's not the fact that I don't want them to be there. It's the fact that like
Makes
I'd
it
rather
tough.
go somewhere else because I'm not catching them, you know?
Yeah, sure.
But then I fished Cimarron, caught a fish on the way out, and then we just went back to Amarillo, went to the Paladuro Canyon.
That's a cool place.
I've never been.
Yeah.
And we did a little quick tour through there and came
There's
home.
a play there in the summer.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've watched it. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
Hadn't your wife been there before?
I don't think so.
I thought she had. I thought she was telling me that they went on on a sports trip. They went to the play or something like that. Must have been somebody else. I don't know.
No, I don't think she's been there before.
Yeah,
So
but-
that was our first time.
Are you going to try to draw that hunt?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. It's it looks like some stuff could live down in there.
Oh
though.
yeah, I think there's aoudad and stuff there.
They say that.
I'm pretty sure that they make you. Texas is weird, y'all.
Hunt corn or something.
I'm pretty sure in the Paladura Canyon hunt that you pretty much backcountry camp. It's a way to do it, but they don't let you do it alone. You have to do it with someone else who's also drawn.
Oh no, sir.
I think so. I'm
Go
pretty
away.
sure that. Yeah. So you got to camp with somebody you don't know.
Talk about put a gun under your pillow.
No kidding, dude.
That's creepy, man.
I don't know. It's just that's a weird thing.
They
But
do some
either
weird
way,
things.
Yeah.
So that's how my. It's probably more information than people wanted, but a lot of fly fishing and most of it was fun. There was only one river I didn't catch a fish in that we fished.
It's not bad.
Rio Vallecitos.
What's that mean? I don't know.
It means little pretty valley or something like that. Little valley, I think.
Cool.
Little valley. I think it's Vallecitos.
Good.
Anyway. Yeah.
I didn't even know that river existed. I was just trying to wrap my mind around it. But
It's pretty remote, but saw a rattlesnake
did you? Did you eat him?
at over 7,000 feet.
Man,
He was hit on the
you're gonna be
road.
wearing your snake boots elk hunting this year, aren't you?
Nope. Nope. Will not walk with those snake boots in elk country.
You are gonna walk with your snake boots this weekend, though.
Probably.
So,
so.
Tyler is jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. We are about to try to probably wrap up, or at least get close to wrapping up, the Map Scout Challenge series of videos. We're going to fly, actually, to Nashville and then hit Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee from there, all in a matter of 36 hours.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Speed Scouting is the name again. But no, it's Map Scout Challenge. It's the whole idea of it. And y'all have heard us talk about this a ton. We kind of had a lapse in production. We did some of them earlier in the spring, and now we're going to do some in the midsummer, put out some trail cameras, and meet up with a couple buddies and do some cool stuff up there.
We lapsed because the deer don't have antlers on their
It's
heads.
really not fun.
It's kind of just a bad time where it all of a sudden gets real ticky, snaky, and chiggery, and the deer don't have anything on their heads. So it's kind of like, well, let's just wait and do some kind of more preseason time.
Yeah, man. This is going to be fun. I'm stoked about
Me
this.
too, dude. We're going to get some good deer on film.
Yeah.
I mean, on trail camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking to one of our buddies, Jake Hofer from Exodus. We're going to meet up with him. And
How do you spell that?
Hofer.
Okay, I didn't know if it was Jaykofer.
Might be. Big Chief. Anyways, I was like, kind of joking. I was like, "Oh, we gonna get some booters on camera." He's like, "Yeah, man, maybe." Kind of like it's a pretty good chance. It's like, what? Like that's a joke where we're from.
Yeah, man, maybe. It's like. I mean, I'm not really that excited if we do. I'm still waiting on them.
My 190s.
190s, you know, are kind of exciting to me.
But to us Texas boys, it's gonna be sick getting some big deer on camera. And we're pretty stoked about it.
I think Jake's promised us several 140 and 50s on camera.
He better.
I don't know if that's like a preloaded SD card that he's putting in there, or if that's actually from the spot that we set the camera.
That might be. Well, so we're going to be doing that this weekend, guys. Look forward to those videos coming out.
And podcasts.
Yeah, we're going to do a bunch of podcasts.
Our buddy Anthony, who's been on before, we're probably going to be doing a podcast with him too.
Yeah. And then we might even meet up with another person or two that's up there. If you know a place that we should hit up while we're there, public land or restaurant, please let us know. Because half the fun of traveling is eating.
Oh, yeah.
So let us know. And also, on that note, we do have a couple more of these videos that we'd like to make. We got some ideas of places we should go, some suggestions from people. But if you have other places around the country, preferably if we could drive to it, but, you know, if it's legit enough, we might do another flying trip. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But if you got some suggestions of places that you'd like us to go scout and to show you what's up there and kind of show you our process from map scouting to putting boots on the ground, let us know, and we'll get that done. Mm-hmm. Because these have been a lot of fun to do.
They have, dude. And take note, if we go to a spot, then it's going to be public. So, like...
GPS coordinates and all.
Don't put your buddy's spot. Don't put your spot.
Yeah.
But put something that you thought, you know, if you have something that it's like, man, I probably never will go see that, and I'd like to see what it looks like, or this could help me, or whatever, you know. Then make sure that you know you've know that it's going to be a public deal. It's going to be on YouTube. So anyway. Yeah, I'm looking forward to these last few because now we're going to actually because we were kind of pushing it with deer starting to shed in the last couple of videos we did, and not to mention a lot of them were in Texas, which tends to be tough. So we've only got a handful of decent bucks on camera so far. So this is going to be like twice as many, I feel like. You know what I mean? When we go,
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope to see some deer too. You know what I've never seen, Tyler? Never seen in my life. A deer eating soybeans in a field. I've never seen that. And it's like the iconic, you know, let's go out there this June and see those bucks.
you will, if you pay attention to Instagram the next couple of months, you will see pictures.
Yeah, and then you'll be like, where'd those deer go in the season? Because you see, like, it's like everybody's got a picture of a 200 and they got velvet on, so they all look giant,
that's right.
But like everybody's got these giant buck pictures. Like, what happened to that deer? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we stand a good chance. You know, our buddy Anthony has been doing some scouting. He's pretty eat up.
We're not giving y'all his spots, but we'll give you some other spots.
But he's been seeing some deer.
He has, man. We're going to a place I've wanted to go my whole life. Land Between the Lakes is going to be pretty cool. Just a cool place to go and see. So we're going to hit that in a couple other spots. But y'all will get all the information on that later. Otherwise, be sure and go download the elk series if you're interested in elk hunting. If not, maybe you need a little inspiration to maybe go try elk hunting. So you might need to go check it out, man. I've talked to quite a few people that have said, hey, I'm trying to plan on going on my first hunt this year, or I'm thinking about it. Like, there's been a lot of guys, a lot of listeners who said that, and not like that we're taking pride in that, but it's cool that y'all are doing that.
Yep.
I mean, it is, I can't tell you how valuable the information that I've learned from the elk woods is to being a general all-around hunter. And then, like, dude, you're just in some of the coolest places, right? And it overlaps with kind of what you did on vacation this week. Like, it's just a cool place to go and do and see, man. Like,
and that's why that's a big part of why I go fishing is like I get to see those places for cheaper than an elk tag. And that's in the past, it's been a deal, and at some point you grow up and get a big boy job and you hopefully can afford a elk tag. But when you're in college and afterwards, sometimes you just got to go take what you can get,
But it's like what we talked about with Dirk in that podcast. Like, it's obtainable for about near everybody.
Yeah.
if you skip eating out some, don't buy snuff, whatever. Like, you can make it happen, man.
Man, you're hurting some dude's feelings right now.
I know it, dude. I know.
Snuff.
No lie.
Golly.
I know guys who don't have the money and still buy snuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been there, dude. We don't want to go down this tangent too far, but when I was young and broke, not just broke like I am now, there were times where I dug money out of the couch cushions to go buy snuff. Didn't have any money for anything. I was eating, rice and beans, but I was going and buying stuff, man. Stuff like that controls your life, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Let things control your life that way. So don't do that. Anyways, there's your PSA for the week. Go down on the ELK series podcast, and then look forward to the Map Scout Challenge stuff.
Yeah, we've got some cool videos that are. I just edited a whole batch of videos today. Well, I had them edited for the most part, but I bounced them all down. They're ready to put out. We're going to put them out a little closer to deer season so that people can get the information and use it pretty quickly, as opposed to forgetting it over the next 2 months. So we've got a lot of stuff in the tube right now that's waiting to actually be public. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to do this Map Scout Challenge stuff. We're going to maybe try to get a little fishing in. And we're just going to try to really just skip over the next month so that it's all of a sudden becomes like it's pretty much happening. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, man. Once in July gets here, like
sheep starts. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You'll start seeing sheep on Instagram, and you're like, okay, people are hunting again.
That's
you know
right,
what I mean?
man. And then people kill caribou, and then it's finally elk season. Hot dog, we're gonna be there.
It's coming soon. I'm really pretty thankful there's still some time, because I need to if we are if we do what we plan on doing, which is elk hunting in September, I've got to get in a little bit better shape.
Me too.
Strengthen up my legs.
I've been working on that quite a bit, but my working on it is just the weight loss side of things.
Yeah.
I still need to kind of get stronger too.
Yeah. I was working on the weight loss stuff the week before because I was working so much I didn't have time to eat, and that was good. I was losing weight, but then you go on vacation, you eat green chili burgers and pizza, and you're like, okay, I'm right back. Dude, pizza's the best thing. You can do anything with it, dude. You can do anything with it,
That's
man.
right. All right, y'all. We got to get off here so we can eat some food. You got anything else we need to talk about? All right. Guys, have fun. Whatever you're doing, man. I'm just PSA KC over here, okay? Just
PSA KC.
5 letters.
You know what that stands? You know what that spells? PSAX.
What?
PSAX.
Oh, good. That's me. That's CK, not KC. I feel like there are some fun suckers in this world, man. Make sure you're not a fun sucker. Make sure you're having fun when you're doing what you're doing. I think that's what I have
You're
to
a
say.
fun sucker.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I agree with what Casey's saying. Have fun and keep listening to the Element Podcast. Remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls. I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like them. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.